so here is the solution video for the sunset challenge. I provided quite a bit of skeleton code for you guys in this one. So let's just kind of go over and see exactly what we're doing here before I go and actually do the solution. So right now, the program runs, looks very similar to what we wanted it to look like in the challenge video, right? We have the sun setting, but eventually if I click enough, I'm going to get an error because my RGB, when I'm using RGB for colors of things, it has to be in a range from 0 to 255. And if you go outside of that range, it freaks out. It doesn't do a modulus operator for you or whatnot, which is a solution to this, but then it'll change how the sun looks. So we're going to use if statements to solve this. All right, so let's take a look at the code to see how we even got this first part working, because that's kind of interesting in and of itself, right? So as I'm moving the sun, the RGB color for the sky is changing. I said this in the challenge video, I really would love to see some people change more than just the sky color. If you want to change the sun color, make it more orange as it approaches the horizon, change the grass color to get kind of darker and, less kind of bright middle of the day, bright green, because that does change too with the different light. Anyways, this is how we did it. You'll note in the skeleton code on line 1, this is really bad coding practice. You can note, if you're following the playlist for CMU CS Academy here, this is 3.2.4, challenge for around there, 3.2.3, 3.2.4. At this point in the curriculum, we only know if statements, I think, like if and else statements, and then multiple ifs. We haven't learned about return values for functions. We haven't learned about helper functions. Ideally, we should really be using local variables here, getting return values when we, update things, but we're not there yet, and I still want you to be able to do this cool thing. So here's a little hack, a way to get around it. The counters for my RGB color, for my sky, I'm going to store inside of labels, and because these are objects and I'm referencing them and stuff that you don't need to know at this point yet in the curriculum, I'm allowed to use these global variables and kind of access them anywhere. Again, bad coding practice. Use it for now. Once you learn how to do it better, don't do it this way, please. So I, have a red counter, a green counter, and a blue counter. I end up actually only using the red and the green. I stored them as labels with the RGB value that I want to use as the label, and then I just put them off screen. They're at -50, -50, so they're not going to show up on the canvas. And then for my background, I made a rectangle whose fill is an RGB with the red counter value as the red, the green counter value as the green, and the blue counter value as the blue. And when I run it, this is going to be an RGB value of 7, 195, 224. If I hold control, I see the 7, 195, 224. Okay, then I make my sun, which I'm going to move. I make my grass. I didn't need to store this as a global variable because I'm not changing the grass, but maybe you want to change the fill of the grass, right? For changing the fill of the sun and the rectangle grass, you're going to have to create like 3 color counters for each of them, right? So you might call this like red counter background, like BG, and then red counter sun and red counter grass, blue counter background, blue counter sun, blue counter grass, etc., etc. But we're only changing one thing for the scope of this. And then I did on mouse press, and first I just moved the sun, move it a little bit to the left, move it a little bit down. So I subtract from the X to move left, add to the Y to move down, my sun's moving. And then here, I update the red value and the green value. I'm making the sky more red and less green to go from that bright blue to kind of that like sunset pinkish. And then finally, I'm just updating my background's fill color to be the new red counter value for red, green counter value, etc. That's how we get what we already have. And now the challenge for this was to fix the program so that I don't get that error by, I click too much and then, I've gone out of bounds for RGB. So let's actually get to solving it now. So I'm going to do what it says, right? On line 10 here, I don't want to go back. On line 10 here, it says, put this line inside of an if statement. So it looked like this, right? I'm going to put this line inside of an if statement to prevent errors from going over 255 in RGB. Whoops, I'm going to fix this before I post it for you because this should really, to prevent going under 0 for RGB, because this one I'm decrementing, I'm going down. So we're going to put this inside of an if statement. And I'm going to say if the red counter dot value is less than 255, we're going to keep increasing by 10. There's going to be an issue with this though, because I'm starting at 7 on the red counter. So eventually I'm going to get up to, if I'm adding 10 every time, well, you'll see what's going to happen. Ready? If I run it, la 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 la, I still got the error, and I still got it at 257. I don't know if you were paying attention before, but I still got it at 257. And that's because when my red counter value is 247, 247 is less than 255, so then I'm going to add 10 to it. 247 plus 10 gets me to 257. Now I'm out of bounds. So I should really make my boundary here 245, because that way, since I'm adding 10 every time, I'm only allowed to add 10 if I'm less than. I guess if I want to be, really on the edge, I can say less than or equal to 245. Now, once I hit that 247, it's going to stop because, I won't be doing this red counter value, because the if is going to say I'm only going to do line 12 as long as this part is true. And since I put my boundary at 245, even if I'm at exactly 245, I'll add 10. I'll be at 255. This won't crash here. And then the next time I'm at 255, well, 255 is not less than or equal to 245, so I won't do it. Very similarly here, I'm going to do an if green counter. Well, actually here, before I fix this, we can take a look at how this runs now. We're going to get a different error for the green counter getting too small eventually. So if I keep clicking, right now my green is at 65, green's at 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, green's at 20, 1, 2, 3, green's at 5, green's at 0, and then, oh, it went to -5, right? So I don't want it to ever get to 0 and then go -5 more. So for this if statement, I'm going to say if the green counter dot value is, as long as it is greater than or equal to 5, I will be okay taking away the 5 value on the green counter. So let's try running it and see how it goes. Now, oh, green counter, green counter. There we go. Let's try running it. And now it's looking good. I'll click a whole bunch. The green is at 60. Green's at 45. Green's at 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. I click, it goes to 0. But once it was at 5, 5 is still greater than or equal to 5. So it can click one more time. Then we got to the 0. But now that my green part, RGB, right? It's this second one right over here, the G. Since that's at 0, now when I click, it's not going in, because 0 is not greater than or equal to 5. So I don't update the green counter, and we're now stuck at this ending point. That's the solution for this video. You could absolutely make it prettier, right? You could figure out how to make, the sky color look a little bit better, maybe eventually even turn dark using some more if statements as the sun, is going further behind the horizon, change the grass color, change the sun color to make it more orange. There's a lot you can do to beautify this, but at the very least, this is how you can go about changing a color as you click things with what we know from 3.2 and, units 2 and 3. Yeah. Okay. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.